Good morning. I want to talk to you about how to get the right coaching for your business as I'm just getting up in the morning. So great example of sometimes you want to sleep versus getting ready. So that's why I'm here just in my ponytail, no makeup on, and I put on some earrings for you so I'd look halfway decent. Anyway, good morning. This is 6 a.m. Coffee with Shanda, and this is my favorite mug in the world that says, "You've got this," and it reminds me every time that I'm going through a challenge or something that's stretching me that I've got this if you've done it before. So I want to talk about a topic that actually I could go into a full-blown rant about right now, because I'm watching these people. Like I really get at least 40 to 50, sometimes over 100 messages a day just on my Facebook page, and people are reaching out to me on Instagram and Facebook, and then not to mention we already have all of our clients, and that just grows steadily like every month. And why I'm sharing all this with you is that there's a lot of input of people who want advice from me. And you might have this as well if you're a coach or consultant or you're leading a company and it's like you're the key person that people are coming to for answers. But doesn't it drive you nuts when you give somebody the right answer and they don't actually take the coaching? They don't actually go and do it. So there's this underlining thing that we have when we're facing fear in it, and it's like, I know better. And I just want to share something with you because I could so go on a rant, and I'm doing everything I can not to go on a rant because I really want everybody to hear this. It's really easy to take coaching, even when you have a resistance to it, meaning that, have you ever read a really good book? Like I used to love Wayne Dyer. And I would read Wayne Dyer, and I would read his books because they felt so good. When You Believe It, You'll See It is one of my all-time favorite books. And I think those books got me through a lot of second guessing. A lot of times when I was running this company from a closet and I was with a guy who was talking to other women and I was heartbroken. And you know what I mean? Like life wasn't exactly perfect. It was frustrating. It was heartbreaking. Money was tight. The funny thing is I woke up less in the middle of the night then than I do now, and I have more money now. It's like I said to Ash, I said, the more revenue that we grow, the more pressure that grows, and so more personal development that I need to be able to continue to grow the business, because you keep hitting these levels of first, it's like, how do I figure out how to get the cash flow rolling? And then once you figure out how to get the cash flow rolling, there's this middle pocket of growing a business that has all these incremental walls that you have to face, but really those walls are like you're facing yourself, right? It's you facing you. And as you're facing yourself on these moments, people will come into your life and they will give you advice. And often the advice doesn't feel aligned. I know this is weird for me to say. Often the advice doesn't feel aligned because it's safer for you to make a decision to keep your job, to, maybe pull back on your giving because you've got a lot on your plate. I'm just trying to think about examples like save money versus invest in something because cash flow is tight. There's all these logical ways of looking at growing your business. But the truth is that it's so unlogical. It's so like everything I've been taught, and I have entrepreneurial parents, everything I've been taught as a kid while my parents were trying to keep me safe was like, save your money, work hard, get married, buy a house. And that was like the depth to it, other than my father taking me to business meetings where I'd actually see how these people actually thought. When I was 16 years old, my dad let me negotiate my first business deal for him. And the deal went through. And so the confidence, I got this almost cockiness. Like, it was like, wow, I'm really good underneath the surface. And that's a good cockiness to have. You want to actually have this belief in yourself. You'd ask my husband, I have this belief that everything always works out for me. And even when I'm in the darkest moments of growing this company to where I've grown it today, Wayne Dyer has taken me through a lot of those dark moments where I've listened to the coaching and I've done things like the like abundance book that I talked about like a week ago. Anybody else still doing this? The abundance book. I know this is just a cheesy like thing from Staples, but the abundance book, like so just yesterday we found $540,000 in new taxes, meaning that we saved $540,000 yesterday. That's huge, right? Just on my taxes. So so my point in sharing that with you is I keep this abundance pad and I manage my mind this way, and I write down, and this is like comes back from way back in the day with Wayne Dyer, when I had to manage my mind on a regular basis, because if I didn't, I would have quit. And so this comes back to this piece, like, how do you know when you're getting the right business advice? I don't know, pick a coach that you respect and you're willing to give you're willing to surrender some of your choices over to. And, I find that like, there's this interesting balance, because if you charge too little for your services, then you get a client or a customer that is more of, I'm just going to say it, a pain in the ass to deal with. The more you charge for your services, it's harder for people to get in the door. And so because it's harder for the fish to get through, it's harder for people to go fish, and they're hungrier, right? So it's like when you're hungry, you're going to do whatever it takes. Like if nobody's there to pay your mortgage, you're going to figure it out. Like this is why a lot of times when people break up in relationships, they skyrocket. It's because all of a sudden it's like nobody else is going to do it. You're going to have to do it. And there's nobody to bitch and complain about. There's nothing better than losing your friends and people around you that you can bitch and complain to. I talk about this in my programs all the time. Bitching and complaining, they talk about it in scripture as well. They don't use bitching and complaining, but they do use complaining. If you're in that state ever, like my husband does not let me complain. And he's really good at helping me look at the mirror of what's going on. And so I don't sit in that. I'm thankful for that. So watch if you're complaining anywhere, because you literally need to ask people around you, because maybe you're really strong, and you need to ask people around you to not allow you to complain. Now, this is different than you need to vent for a moment. So it's all right to like let a vent out and then get back into responsibility and make things happen. But how do you know if you're getting the right coaching? Because sometimes you don't feel aligned to the coaching that you're getting. Well, I say make sure that you choose a coach that you initially like absolutely love and you believe that they're the real deal. And then know that at some point, if you're riding your edge, you will disagree with your coach at some point. If you don't, then you're not playing as big as you could be playing. It could be a aha moment for some of you. If it's just kind of like, okay, this is like feeling really good, or okay, I'm coming up against some challenges. There's different layers, right? So there's first the surrender. I'm going to surrender and allow a coach to coach me. And it's always like, it's always the honeymoon at the beginning, because it's like you made this great decision, and every time we make a decision, our life moves forward. Every time we don't make a decision, I was just coaching a client of mine a couple days ago. I said, if you allow worry to go more than 2 or 3 days, it will suck your life and it's hard to get out. So you've got to look at what you're worrying about, and you need to clear your calendar, and then you need to become like a dog and a bone on that worry and solve it. Which means that a lot of people will say to me, oh, I need cash flow, or I need cash flow to segue out of a business or a company that I work for, or something like that. It's like, okay, but then I look at your calendar, and you're doing you're spending like 10 minutes on that thing that will release you from freedom, and you're spending the rest of your life on busy things that you just need to deal with. And at some point you need to go, what's the priority here? The priority is to get rid of the worry. And so many people chase shiny objects to get rid of the worry, but the truth is if they were to track their time, how many hours in a day do they actually spend on the thing to release the worry? And I'm going to tell you, it's not as much as people actually think it is. And so you have this first layer of making a decision and allowing a coach to coach you. Pick somebody not based on they're cheap or you can afford them. Pick somebody that you absolutely are really committed to following their coaching, because now you're going to have to actually show up and have the discipline to connect as much as possible. So like my clients, all of them should be on Coffee with Shanda at least 2 or 3 times a week. I mean, if I'm getting up at 6 a.m. and I have the same life that they have, meaning that I have a lot of things on my plate, they should be getting up at 6 a.m., but only a certain percentage do. Or at least watch the replay, right? But only a certain percentage do, because they're missing optimizing their coaching, right? So first you have the willingness to take the coach that you really want to work with. Then you got to realize you got to connect as much as possible, not sit back and wait for shit to just work out for you. It's not even enough to show up and follow the formula. You have to show up, follow the formula, and connect, engage as much as possible, every which way you can. Connection is currency. If you have a breakdown in results, I guarantee you've either outsourced too much or you're not connected enough to the thing that you're trying to create. The third thing is that there's this level of resistance that some people are able to surrender, and they have enough personal development that they say, you know what, I know that I've got resistance on this, and so I've got to do it. Anybody feel me? Does anybody have that awareness? Like, you're like, I know I got resistance on this, so I got to go do it. Just let me know if that's you. If you have that level of awareness and you operate like that. If I notice that I'm having resistance, I will still do it, even kicking and screaming, I'll still do it. That's a third level of making a decision. And these are all levels of success. They're success decisions to get you to the top of what you're fully capable of doing. So there's that level, like, okay, I recognize that I'm resistant to fly to Arizona. That was the last one I had. I was resistant to fly to Arizona. And so I would not even allow myself to contemplate any of the really good ideas and logical ideas on why I should not go to Arizona. And I went, and I met a key person to, change my tax structure inside my company. And I'm going to tell you that we found tax structures that take our tax down to 0 without me moving, which is powerful. And I live in California. So I'm not going to get into that. My point is that, and it's legal, so that, so there's these moments of doors that open that if we go through them, we either immediately see why we should have done that, and God shows us that, or the universe, whatever you call it. I call it God because he created the universe. Or we find out that key decision of resistance that we walked through brought us a little bit further on our path. But now there's the fourth success decision, which a lot of people don't want to make. And this is the decision that's most uncomfortable. It's the one that you're probably not aligned with. And you'd be crazy to be aligned with it because it rocks everything comfortable in your life. It rocks everything comfortable in your life. And so what is that for you right now? What's that for you? What's the thing that either somebody's giving you coaching on? And by the way, don't take coaching from someone that's not getting great results. So I don't take coaching from people on relationships that don't have an incredible relationship. I definitely don't take coaching with people in business unless they are creating a result that I want, that I haven't been able to create, and they have the ability to navigate the same waters that I've navigated. So that next cut, what is it for you? And this is where righteous, strong, especially spiritual people get really stuck in the success trap. And what happens is that they stop a level before and they struggle for a lifetime. And they feel like they know better, and they've got all these really strong reasons why they shouldn't relinquish control to go to the next level. And I don't know, like, everybody's a little bit different. Some people have a fear of being like, oh, I don't want to be an ass kisser to the coach. I sometimes hear that. Like, people will say, oh, those people who follow Shanda or whatever coach. I mean, this is happening in Marie Forleo's. It's happening in everybody, Ali Brown. It's happening in all of our coaching camps. There's a group of people who follow everything that we say, and they get the best results. And some people think it's just their character, that they're so happy or so empowered. But it's like, you don't know where the coach has taken this person. They've been behind the scenes. Like I've been behind the scenes with Amy Amata. I've been behind the scenes with Jennifer Cornbley. I've been behind the scenes with my all-star clients, Carrie Tependino. And they all handle it a little differently. Some of them get mad as they're walking through it. Some of them blame me first and then walk through it. Some of them walk through like just asking me to tell them every day that I believe in them, right? And they all walk through a little bit different, but they're not just these bright, empowered faces because that's who they are. They built themselves. And they hit that fourth level where you have to completely relinquish control because the thing that you're going after, almost like you could convince yourself it's not in alignment because the pressure feels too great. And so the goal is that you have to learn how to manage the pressure and reduce the pressure, but at the same time, you have to relinquish control. And that's like a mastery step that if you can do it, it's like that hard decision will give you a lifetime of freedom because it's like you're able to face. It's kind of like you've been there before. It's kind of like having a baby. You know what to expect once you've done it. Once you know what to expect, it has a little less hold on you. I hope I'm making sense to you because I'm trying to get inside your head because I want whoever you're coaching with, I want you to eventually be at the part where you don't quit too soon and you don't quit because things aren't working. That you realize that you either need to connect more, and if you're connecting more, then there's a next step that you need to surrender over. And either, it could be your stretch might be booking a VIP day with your coach, or if they don't offer VIP days, it might be like they give you some laser coaching and your stretch is to actually go do that alone, right? Like there's many things as an entrepreneur you got to do alone. The higher you get in the coaching level, the less actual hand-holding you get. And the crazy thing is your problems are much bigger and much more challenging to get through. And so, but you've conditioned yourself to face yourself in these moments of it not feeling in alignment. And so I know that if you're spiritual, this might be really hard for you to get because you've gotten this far on figuring out how to get into alignment, right? Like, it's like, and by the way, it is ultimate alignment. Once you get through, it's like we all have these massive walls that we come up against at some point that we've been taught that are very secret, and we come up against them. And if we're going to go to the next level, we have to not know it all. We have to really, really be able to let go and not know it all and allow ourselves to go to the next level. And in my experience, there's always a key person who is connected with walking you through that wall. And so in my experience, it really comes down to you being willing to relinquish control when the pressure is really high. Because when the pressure is really high, it doesn't really feel like you're aligned. But when you get to the other side of that, it feels insane. It's like I call it a Sarah Blakely moment, right? Like it's like who owns Spanx. It's like you create a result that you start getting recognized. I saw a post that she did today where there's a picture of her and Jesse. And by the way, Jesse's going to be at the Zone event, which is super exciting this year. But she has posted something where it's a picture where she was getting acknowledged for being one of the top 100 most influential women and in the world. I think it was in the world. And those moments when you look at people like that and you're like, wow, but listen to her on some podcast. She's really honest about she is one tough cookie. She looks like this because she's really fun and makes fun of herself. Yesterday I saw she was wearing a bra on the outside of her shirt, but she's also a great marketer. And so she's okay to wear their new bra that has like celebrities all over it on the outside of her shirt and go in public that way. I mean, would you be willing to do that for your brand? Would you be willing to look stupid for your brand? Like, not everybody knows she's Sarah Blakely that owns Spanx and she's walking around with a bra on the outside of her shirt, right? Like, and so you look at these people who we admire and we're like, oh my God, he is so amazing. Wayne Dyer was amazing before he passed away. Like we look at we look at these people and we admire them. But do you know who they've been behind closed doors? They've quit the jobs and put 100% into their businesses. They've burned the oil. Sarah worked full time and then she worked until like midnight on her business. And then I'll see some of my clients will be like, and by the way, she also advocates taking time off, but I'll see some of my clients that go through a year stretch and they're like, holy shit, like this was so hard. I don't know if I can keep this up anymore. And it's like, you'll live a life of hard if you don't go through that wall. You will live you're kidding yourself. You will live a life of hard if you don't go through that wall. And so, yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. I'd love to know what you're hearing from me on this. I could have ranted pretty hard on this, but I felt like you just needed to really hear this. And so I hope that I hope the right people heard it. And that when you're facing because this is how God works, right? You're listening to this now. You're either going to face this any day now or any week now, or you're facing this right now. And you've got to relinquish control and stop telling yourself the effing story that has you hold back or convince yourself and the people around you that you need to play less, pull back. All that stuff is bullshit. You need to figure out how to get yourself up to the plate and stay up to the plate until you hit a home run. And when you hit that home run, you run like fucking crazy. You run. You run the bases like crazy. And you enjoy every moment of the stands and the standing ovation that you have in the world as they are just so enamored and inspired by you. And people don't get inspired by people who just worked hard. It's not about just working hard. It's about having a massive breakthrough. And that breakthrough only happens when you hit that point when you want to quit, and you don't quit. You renew. You renew your goal. You renew your mastermind. You renew. You stay with it. The people who stay with it, they get there. The people who think the grass is greener on the other side, they don't. They are in a constant moment of starting over. Don't start over. Stay the course. So I'm going to leave it at that. One last thing, I'm sorry. A client of mine changed her business model 4 times in 2 years. And actually, yeah, in 2.5 years. And I kept saying to her, every time you change your business model, every time you change it, you start at square one, even though you have been an entrepreneur for 2.5 years, 3 years, whatever it is. Every time you change it, you start at square one and you build again from the beginning. It's a new idea. And so at some point, you got to stay on the idea and build it all the way out to your intended result. And only then do you figure out how to become a winner. And the goal is not to work hard. The goal is to win the game. It's your life. This is all you've got. If you don't play to win, you never access the level of freedom that you know is available for yourself. And so now it's about, how do you stop playing this game of I'm tired, I'm this, I'm that. Take a fucking break. Go get a massage. Turn off your phone. Go to sleep at 8:30. Do things to not be tired. Drink calm at night. Whatever you have to do, right? Ask somebody else to take some of the workload. If your to-do list is more than one thing today, you got too much on it. So you gotta change the way you operate so that you can win. Otherwise, you get to be right about losing, being exhausted, and not having things work out for you. And I am tired of seeing powerful, talented people enroll themselves in stopping. Yes, you are going to hit a hard wall. Get the F through it. Get through it. So I didn't mean to go onto a rant. I just want you to hear this. Stop stopping, relinquish control, and get a coach that you're willing to be coached by, and then follow the coaching, even when it doesn't feel aligned. All right, I'll talk to you soon.